Hello, everybody. It's a real pleasure to see you here in Dubrovnik. It's a wonderful city. It's my first time here, and I'm really grateful for the invitation. And I'm also very grateful to be in the lucky position to speak to such an engaged and interested audience. I'm currently the general manager for Merck UK and Ireland. And before I start talking about what the subject of this presentation is, I would like to say that I work for Merck for a lifetime. I've been with the company for 25 years, but the company is much older than my time with her. The company is the oldest life science company in the world, over 360 years, and it stands for resilience, for continuous innovation. It stands for persistence and revival. It has a strong foothold in life sciences as well as in pharmaceuticals. Before I actually start with the slides as such, let me just set the scene for you. When I joined Merck UK, it was on the verge of the pandemic. So COVID just happened, and then a lot of the challenges came along with that. First of all, I haven't met my team for like months to come because we are not allowed in the office. But more interestingly, in the national health system, in NHS, in the UK, a lot of changes were actually taking place, a lot of challenges. But most importantly, the government printed money. Well, the bad news is that the money printing machine has run out of ink. And that's not happening only in the UK. That's happening all over the world. And there is a lot of pressure on the national health systems in the UK in particular because of a wonderful thing called Brexit that I'm sure you know about. And I'm sure that you recognize the UK is an island nowadays in more senses than the geographical one. So it's a very interesting environment, and we face challenges that probably are exacerbated in that islandy environment. So basically, I think at this moment in time, the pressure is no longer on pharmaceutical companies only to come up with innovation continuously, because that pace of innovation, the pressure is tremendous. I believe we are facing at the moment a healthcare system crisis. And the key to finding a way out of it is to collaborate and to think creatively in more sense than the clinical development sense. Now, on that page, what happened to my, never mind. So in that page, I'm going to talk about the oncology space, because I believe that the oncology is a real challenging development across the world. We see an increased evidence that the number of cases in cancer is increasing. We see population aging. We see change in factors that are really driving cancer incidence in younger people. And also, what we see overall in the healthcare systems in the world is a scarcity of resources, not only money, but also personnel. For that reason, I personally believe that digital health is really essential to make the progress that we need to make in order to reduce the backlog of patients and to deal efficiently and effectively with the challenges in the cancer space. Now, digital health, in principle, refers to digital tech being integrated in the healthcare system. And it obviously entails all of these: mobile health apps, wearable devices, telemedicine, electronic health records, health information systems. I'm going to say artificial intelligence, because I don't want to be compared in any way with the Google CEO. Data analytics. So in that space, Merck has a particular interest in the therapeutic area of cancer. And I have listed here some of the areas in which Merck is active: Merkel cell carcinoma, colorectal cancer, head and neck cancer, lung cancer, bladder cancer. Some of these cancers, they don't have the same hype, the same attraction for having tremendous investment going into innovation. And I refer particularly at bladder cancer. the incidence of bladder cancer, particularly in aging population, is probably not as attractive in a segment of population kind of sense. So you have less money and less research into it. However, there is an 80% recurrence in the bladder cancer space post-treatment, and also there is a 50% mortality rate. So the stats are quite depressing if you think about it. And in this space, we have actually decided to make some improvement by providing digital tech that is dealing with the patient's needs. But let me take you back to the evolution of digital health along so many years. So if you look at the slide, telemedicine, which is really the principle for remote consultation and remote monitoring these days, has started as early as 1879, and it was the first telephone call that led to a prescription for a patient. But it's still a principle that we heavily rely upon today. Wearable devices. As early as 1958, the first pacemaker was fitted to a patient. But overall, the monitoring and reporting of ongoing care, of ongoing vital signals is really crucial in dealing with wearable devices even these days. Oncology information systems. This is about integrated care, diagnosis, which is really the system that has been involved since 1967 in cancer wards to deal with diagnosis, prognosis, treatment, aftercare for patients with cancer. Artificial intelligence. It was used as early as 1970 to spot blood infections. But what does it mean? It's around research and treatment, including population health, in actually identifying some of the risk factors based on demographics of particular diseases in specific geographical areas, for example. Data analytics is heavily used. It is about identifying trends and spotting the markers, spotting the early signals in identifying the diseases that could occur. Data analytics has been crucial, for example, in coming up with the amazing improvement that is around the genome testing. It's also crucial in immunotherapy nanotechnology. Apps. We have so many apps. But apps fundamentally are designed to help patients along the journey to ensure medication adherence, symptom tracking, treatment management. But there is a multitude of apps. Only in the cancer space, if you go on your iPhone, you will find more than 100 apps. And the clear unique selling proposition, the clear differentiation is not there. And I think fundamentally what a study in 2023 has found was that the apps are rarely built with the end customer, with the patient in mind. And they lead to confusion because patients, they don't know if those apps are recommended by healthcare professionals, by institutions, if they are integrated, actually, with the existing healthcare systems. So, in oncology, why is digital health so important? Well, it starts with early detection and diagnosis. It starts with patient engagement and support, efficiency, accessibility, cost-effectiveness, data-driven R&D, remote monitoring and telemedicine, and last but not least, personalized care. So fundamentally, digital health provides individuals with better means to manage their health and provides healthcare providers with better means to actually tailor their treatment in an evidence-based medicine type of manner. I alluded to personalized care. In the UK, this has been outlined in NHS long-term vision, and it's been ongoing for about 5 years now. The ambition was to have 2.5 million patients so far entailed in the personalized healthcare system, with the ambition to drive a doubling of that number in the next 5 years. So, what does it mean? There are 6 elements to the personalized healthcare concept. The shared decision-making, in which a patient has a word to say, has a choice to make when a specific treatment is recommended. Personalized care, in the sense that the patient chooses where to have the care. Enabling choice in an informed manner. Social prescribing. Social prescribing refers to the work that social prescribers do in specific geographic areas, working with primary care physicians and allowing patient access to different activities or groups in that specific local area to deal with the needs that are either physical or emotional or community-driven needs. Supported self-management refers to being prompted, for example, to get the treatment underway to ensure medication adherence. And personal health budget. There's been a study by the University of Kent in which personal health budget has been assessed. And they found that if this is proactively managed by a healthcare professional and an individual, that leads to about £3,000 saving for the year per patient, and it also leads to less addressability to, for example, any attendances. That will be the emergency attendances in a hospital or a ward. On the supported self-management dimension, NHS has actually followed 9,000 patients throughout the years, and they found that when a patient is informed and has a say in the way the medication is administered and is adhered to, that leads to 18% less GP appointments and 38% less emergency appointments. So the patient being involved actually in the treatment they receive, it's a really important factor. Now, along those dimensions, one can think that it's very simple to implement all of those. But breaking news, NHS doesn't have the set space. They are actually putting out the fires every day because ever since COVID and Brexit, as the English say, in a highly, highly punitive environment, it's pretty much everything went tits up and it continues to do so. So you have a scarcity of resources, you have a lack of focus on simplifying the processes, and I think this is where the industry can collaboratively work with the NHS, NICE, MHRA, to make sure that we make simple, small improvements that in the long term can lead to outcomes that are desired by us all. So at Merck, we have actually collaborated with HUMA to develop a mobile app for bladder cancer. With our expertise in oncology and HUMA's expertise in advanced mobile applications, we have designed an app to be made available to patients with bladder cancer as well as carers. So the HUMA app, just as an overview, it provides support to patients that are undergoing or have finished chemotherapy, radiotherapy, immunotherapy, and it deals proactively with questions and emotional needs that patients and carers have. How does it help the patients? It has personalized delivery of information. It helps tracking symptoms, and it also helps with monitoring the well-being of the patient. It gives patients and carers better insights into the journey, and it sends timely reminders, actually, before the clinical visits. It is also crucial for the HCPs because before each appointment that a patient has with the HCP, the healthcare professional has access to the information that was input in the app, and it's a snapshot just before the appointment, really simplifying the interaction with the patient. Because patients, they have selective memory, and quite rightly so. They go through such a difficult journey that at points they want to forget some of those unpleasant symptoms, and those are actually tracked and captured in the app. So we are expecting about 20 patients to be enrolled on the app each month, and that amounts to about 120 patients in the first 6 months. But most importantly, what differentiates this app from the other 99 that are available on Apple Store is the fact that this app is integrated and has been co-developed, co-designed with the NHS. So we actually partner with 3 sites, and we have taken their views and their input into account to make sure that we deal with the primary questions and challenges that the app might pose for the whole system. So first of all, we needed real-world validation to validate the solution. We need to ensure compliance and standards in the sense of minimizing the risks which are coming there with data breaches or patient safety. We also want to capture iterative improvement based on continuous feedback from patients and healthcare professionals. And we also want to make sure that we have clear clinical relevance in the sense that the app reflects the clinical evidence generation and the clinical pathway. Last but not least, the fact that we have co-designed and co-developed this app together with NHS trusts ensure a shared sense of accountability and hopefully will improve the access and uptake in the long term because the benefits are there to capture the patient's needs, being those physical or emotional. So you see a snapshot of the NHS trusts that we have involved in the workshops and the development. Those would be Royal Surrey, Nottingham, and Clatterbridge, with the participants that are listed on the slide. Some of the feedback that came to us and led to the first iteration were around the side effects that patients are fearing to disclose simply because they fear discontinuation of the treatment. So that has been dealt with in the language we use in the app, being reassuring. Some questions about nutrition. Most patients would inquire, for example, if they have to have healthy meals, and the HCP's concern is that they have to have nutrition, irrespective whether the meals are healthy or not, because it's much more important than thinking about that. There were questions around alcohol, and we had a sentence actually regarding not using alcohol, so we have taken that out because it could cause distress to the patients. And that was actually dealt with out of the app. And also, a question about hydration. Hydration is really important during the treatment, and that has come up as feedback from the clinicians, and we have incorporated a sentence stating that the patients, they had to address the hydration needs, for example, with HCPs. Some of the testimonials, they show the value that the app is intending to bring to both the HCP and the patient community. And if I'm going to end with takeaways, we are really relying on continuous improvement based on feedback, compliance and regulation to the medical device requirements, to the data privacy requirements, to sensitive patient information, clinical validation in the sense of aligning the clinical pathway and leading to clinical evidence that is relevant, data security and privacy, education and support for patients and carers, scalability and accessibility, because in the end, this is what we want to do to achieve that scalability and accessibility in the system. So I'm going to end here, and if there are 2 principles that I would like you to think about and take away from this talk, because it's been a lot of rambling, the 2 concepts have been and are to be personalized healthcare and digital health. Because I believe the future will primarily and mostly entail these. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, I think there is time for one. Yeah, at the back.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is, how in Merck are you planning to scale this beyond UK? And do you have any plans partnering up with other oncology pharmaceutical companies, because we put the patient at the center?
So let me start by answering the first part of the question. We want to scale it up in the UK by continuous collaboration with the NHS trusts. I think getting involvement, early involvement with patient organizations that I should have mentioned, I haven't mentioned, and the healthcare professionals in particular, in specific trusts, is really crucial. But having the proof of concept, in the HCP community is really important, and we achieved that. So from here is continuous collaboration, and we are actually intending to do that using our field market access team that work very closely with the medical community as well as the patient community to ensure this scalability. Beyond the UK, my colleagues in Global, actually, they have been crucial in helping co-designing and co-developing this app. This is a global project. UK has been the pilot, but the plan is obviously to take this further and expand it geographically. Any other? I think the time is up. Thank you so much.